The meaning of life. Why are we here? What is the purpose? And what are we meant to do on this planet? What is the journey of the soul? Each one of you has your own specific journey, and we're welcoming your questions regarding life, your career, your junctures at this point. Where do we go? We're welcoming your questions regarding finances and journeying with family. Perhaps that love question. That's forever the popular question. What does love have to do with it? Well, plenty, when we're trying to find that person that is meant to be our person. And the meaning of life is, of course, to connect with someone. We are not meant to be solitary beings. We are not meant to be alone. We are meant to be connected to others. We're meant to form community and to join together and celebrate every moment of life. So is life simply just getting up in the morning and preparing your family for the day and running off to work and living your day at work and returning home? There's so much more to the meaning of life, but somehow we've become enslaved by our day-to-day activities, the obligations that we've had in our life. And each one of us is meant to grow and connect on this beautiful journey of life. But it's not always easy because we have obligations. We have responsibilities. And all of these obligations and responsibilities, they seem to weigh down the joy, the harmony, the just ability to be. How often do you have that opportunity to be? How often do you feel the energy of where you are and just totally take it in? Or are you just racing from thing to thing, from person to person? It is a time of great expression of self when we live our life. But often we don't take that time. Do you know what your thoughts are? Or are your thoughts being disrupted by someone else, by someone else's needs or an obligation? Where are we in the circle of our being? The energy that's ever flowing, ever present, always moving. Where are we in this journey? Do you spend the quiet time to be with self? You see, the meaning of life and all of its beauty is all about us, individually, standing in the harmony and the flow of all that is and all that we will become. We are forever becoming. And in the becoming is the word be. And in order to become, we must simply be. The meaning of life brings us together of family and friends and love and connections. It is the ability to bring life onto the planet and to tend to that life. The meaning of life is to show kindness and love to another. It is the purpose of our soul to expand while living this human experience, navigating day-to-day activities, yet still remaining connected to the divine, having an awareness that there's something greater than us, tuning into us, guiding us, nudging us along the path of life. You see, time passes by so quickly. We've experienced such a rapid quickening of time in the past few years. But even if you go back, doesn't it seem like just the other day you were 10 or 16, maybe 25? And now where are you in the journey of life? Do you feel as if you are moving towards the end of your journey? And what does one show for one's life? What gave the breath of life meaning for you? And how did you articulate your meaning, your purpose, your journey in this life? You see, each one of us has a very unique place. We are all interwoven in the tapestry of life. There are no accidents. Everything is orchestrated for a higher plan. And there's a series of versions of choices that we have on the path of life. And according to the guides, the angels, the divine, There's really no wrong choice. It's just the choice. And when we make the choice, it's for us to be content with the choice, regardless of the outcome, because that too will serve us to our greater good. Even those moments when you went left and suddenly halfway down the road you realize, my goodness, I should have went right. It is the time for each one of us to mean what we say and say what we mean, and say it not from our mind and not from our words or our thoughts, but from our heart. And to allow our heart to be the light that shines forth and to speak our truth, but with love. To be in the energy of kindness, not angst and frustration. To be in the energy of where we have always wanted to be, harmony. You see, as a young being that came onto the planet, tended by your parents, you had a sense of oneness. A oneness that was greater than the family that presented itself in the moment of birth. It was a oneness with all that was part of the universe and all that was within you. And along the journey of life, the meaning of life took on a whole nother path because it needed to adjust to the physical expression. And that physical expression was just learning to survive, learning what parent we needed to please and how we needed to behave and what was expected of us at school. And then the meaning of life became learning to play and have fun with others and to join with friendship. And then navigating whatever was happening in the family unit, be it positive or uncomfortable or negative, learning to adjust and remain centered but pleasing to the parents because we were so reliant on them in the early years that we must serve the parents because they were our provider. And then we emerge into our teenage years and the meaning of life, why it changes. It's about self-expression and the adventure of being youthful and young and yet able to choose and decide what you liked and who you were, how you wore your hair, what defined you, what enlightened you, what directed you. And it was a time for you to align with friends and realize that friends were friends, and some, well, they really didn't stand by your side, and then choosing those that aligned more with you and the you that you were becoming to be. Because the teenage years, well, they just seemed to set you free. And they moved from an energy of how you've come to be. And for you to learn what is most important at that time. And a vision and a joy and a harmony was raised up before you, something that shined out in the energy of what you could be. And the glimmer of hope came upon you like a mighty thrust of energy and love. And suddenly you had a dream. And the meaning of life was who you were to become. But it was with a purpose and a career and what you could do. So you set off from the high school years and you move yourself into the young adult years. And then we realized the world is not what we thought it was. And the greatness that was within may get watered down because of opinions and judgments and qualifications that must be met to please another so that we could step on the path that we've chosen. But it was not for us to know until we put our foot upon the path. And then all the memories of all the things that we endured in our early years, those difficult times come flooding back as a young adult. And we say, wow, maybe they were right. Maybe I'm not good. Maybe I'm not smart enough. Or maybe I can. And whatever the early training was, whatever that force of light that was behind you from the family unit comes bursting through, and whatever the darkness was, it melted within you. And suddenly you had to choose the path of who you would be, because now suddenly the world around you depended on you because someone depended upon thee. And in this energy of where you were and what you choose to do, you began a cycle of expectations and what's next. And you walked down the path of the career, meeting the levels and expectations to please another only to get a little bit of reward for all your hard work and all of your education. And then we embraced a partner and created family, and the meaning of life took on a different meaning, to birth a child and to bring forth more and to bring in the world another piece of you. But then the meaning of life became weighted down, and suddenly we realized that the we, the me, the you, the all that we were at one time in those early years has gotten weighted down and buried amongst the actions and reactions and obligations of where we are at that moment. And suddenly we find this energy of, I don't know who I am any longer. And the question mark rides in our head for several years while we struggle meeting the obligations and the connections of all that we have embraced in our circle. And open-heartedly, many of us move forth and we share with family and friends. But somewhere inside, we ask the question, who am I? And what is the meaning of life? And so as we journey, as age becomes more, much like the fine wine that we're meant to be, we have aged over time. The harmony of life has picked up a new rhythm. And suddenly then, at that moment of time, we stop and we realize that our life is out of line. They call it a midlife crisis that might not be understood. So we capture our youth in a different way. We find a new expression because we're simply just trying to save who we thought we were. But little did we realize that who we were was just the stepping stone of our greatness, and everything that has happened from that point on, that young little being has been molded and shaped from the world that we know, or from the higher guidance that gave us the breath of life. But suddenly we're so much more aware of the world that we've been in. We don't know if we're connected. We don't know if we fit in. We don't understand if the divine is ever present. And so we sit in the darkness and wonder what's next for this expression of life. And then the meaning of life begins to change as we recognize that there are those that we've cared of, that have cared for us, that depart the planet. And we cryfully, mournfully wait in the darkness of night, praying that they could feel us and hear us because they are here no more. And as we sit in the energy of what has been, we hold on to the memories so tightly. And everything we do is filled with the emotions of regret and joy and all the things that once were. And we look over the past and the relationships that didn't last. We look over the friendships that fell by the wayside, recognizing that we've outgrown, but still wishing that things could have been the same. And so the meaning of life is forever changing. And then we come to the times where we may be at this moment, when the world is not what we thought it would be, when everything seems crashing down around. And then we recognize that all that we've seen does not define who we are in this moment of time. It is a marker of contrast for us to see, but it is not for us to let within and let it be who we become to be. It is just an energy that surrounds us, that is part of an expression of a part of us, a part of all of us, and where we have been in the moment of time that we were dissatisfied and misaligned. And so we begin now in this latter half in the meaning of life to hold on to everything that was good and release all the strife. We step into the energy of love and decide who we can be. And then we realize that life is meant to be nothing but harmony. So we choose our friends and cut away, and we narrow down the circle ever so small, yet ever so pure. And we sit for hours in meditation and prayer, and we ask for the divine to open us up and let us know that the divine is there. But what we didn't realize all along is the divine had never left. Our loved ones that left the planet, they're right there too. There are angels and guides that are here to help us along the way. And the meaning of life is all that it will ever be. The opportunity to be a unique expression of who you've come to be. The opportunity to shine your light in your own unique way. The meaning of life is not to be measured by another's tears and fears. It is to be measured by who you are in this moment of time. It is the opportunity to shine beyond what you could ever imagine if you just give yourself the opportunity to allow the energy to flow in this moment that you have. And then the meaning of life is the legacy you leave behind, the kindness, the joy that you've shared with so many. It's the opening that lets you unlock something unique. It is the opening that lets you choose what you close so that you can move forward and let those in that you care for. It is the meaning of life that gives you the breath that sustains all that is around you. For on this day, no matter where you are always connected, and it's never too far. So your meaning of life may not be mine, may not be the others, or those who have been in your past or your future. Your meaning of life is unique, and it is for you to sit and to be, and to recognize the beauty within can never be taken. The talent and blessings that are yours for the taking are always available, and no one can remove them from the being that is you. For every aspect of you is perfectly perfect in its own imperfect human way, because the light that you are is the being that's come to be. The meaning of life is so important for all of us. And now, as our lives are changing and the world that we thought we knew seems ever so far away, and a new world is upon us, we must stand true to who we are and just be.